going to show you how to make your own DIY traveler's notebook cover. This is a fun project to take with you on the go because it's a durable little cover. This has been laminated and it has an elastic band that holds it closed, and you can put little paper notebooks inside that you can scrapbook in or journal in. I made these inserts using a new summer adventure collection from Echo Park paper, but you can also buy pre-made notebook inserts, whatever floats your boat. The trick is simply to make a solid notebook cover, which we'll do here with little elastic bands on the inside that will bind your notebooks in. So this one has 4. There's the 3 with the notebooks had, and then this 4th one here. It's pretty simple to do, and it's a fun project to throw in your handbag and take with you this summer. You're going to start with a 9.5 by 8 inch sheet of paper. I watercolored my own on cardstock because when I laminated watercolor paper, like you can see here, the laminating did not like it. It was too thick. So I painted on cardstock instead because it's thinner, but it does warp the paper. So it's kind of the lesser of two evils in this instance, neither one being ideal. Lesson learned from me, it's probably easier to just stick with pattern paper that's already designed and cute, but still thin enough to laminate smoothly without any hiccups. So whatever paper you choose, you're going to go ahead and fold it in half. Lightly crease the center. You don't need a bone folder or anything here, just a gentle crease with your finger will do to mark the center, because ultimately that won't be folded right there anyway. Grab your ruler, and 1/4 inch down from the top, right on that center line, go ahead and make a mark, and then turn your ruler the other way and 1/4 inch on either side of that mark. So 1/4 inch to the right and 1/4 inch to the left. Make 2 more marks, and that's ultimately where you'll score and create your spine. But first flip it over and do the same thing on the other end, marking 3 spots, and then again in the middle, in the center-ish. Then take a scoring tool, or in this case I use my paper trimmer and a bone folder, and just that canal where the blade runs, I'll use that to score. If you don't have any of these things, you can use a ruler to score. A ruler and like a credit card or something will work too. The idea is just a nice clean fold along where those lines meet, and that gives you your spine. From here you'll want to pierce where you mark those holes using a sharp paper piercing tool. Watch your fingers. I've learned that the hard way in the past. There's that little center hole that we'll use for our closure, and that will leave you with 7 holes total. Total? That sounds like a weird way of saying Toto or something. Go ahead and put it in a laminating sleeve and put it through your laminator. If you don't have a laminator, you can buy laminating sleeves that are self-laminating. They just aren't quite as snug. Also, I'm going to link to the inspiration to this project. I wish it were all my own idea, but I did get inspired from another YouTube video, so I want to show you that, and you'll find that below. The reason I was giving that the thumbs down is if you look closely, my laminating is sloppy joes. Like, it's all wrinkled because I just slapped that in there. Again, because my paper was warped, that was part of the problem. But I didn't smooth it out first, so learn from me and smooth it out before sending it in to cook, because it can leave you some creasing and wrinkles that you're not going to love. Okay, re-pierce your holes now that they're covered with the laminator. Time for elastic cording. This part is not difficult, but it is, I'm slowing the video down a little to show it in real time because it is easier to see it that way. So you're going to start on the lower right hole, coming from the front or the outside, working in, leaving approximately 6 inches of a tail out the front. Then you're going to go on the same far right hole, but across the top this time, and pull it back out to the cover, then back in through the center hole, pulling your elastic cording fairly snug, fairly tight, so it's not all sloppy and loose. You don't want your notebooks flopping around. And then you're going to go back from this top center to the bottom center and go back out. You'll see I'm using a really large blunt needle. That's because it has a really nice large eye, which is easier to thread elastic cording with. So I recommend that if you have it. Now you're going to come back in through that far left hole, and then careful not to, I'm cutting it close. I'm kind of playing a dangerous game here. I didn't have much cording left, so I'm trying to stretch it. When I make these with plenty of cording left, hold that thought. Right now I'm going to tell you, you're going to go from that hole back in through the middle again, but don't let your cording go. That's what I mean by playing it. It's kind of risky. I don't have much left, and I don't want it to come unthreaded. Luckily I made it and I'm pulling it snug, but ordinarily I would just work from the full spool of thread and then cut it after I'm done instead of a pre-measured piece like this, and that's what I recommend for you. Don't cut a piece of cording and start threading, just thread from the spool because they're not very big. Okay, now go back to that tail that was hanging out the front at the beginning. thread it through your needle, come in through the middle on the bottom. It can be a little snug, but usually it goes right through. And you use a piercer to poke those holes. Now you've got both of your tails on the inside, and you can meet them in the middle-ish and go ahead and tie a double knot. That gives you your 4th row of elastic cording to then bind the notebook inserts into. And you can trim. So I have a little too much there on the knot. I don't love that, so I'll go back in later and trim that away. But now you can just open your books to the center spread. Mine's a little fancy, like all those different size journaling cards are not always going to be that way, but that's fine. And it'll just bind right in. I use 6x6 paper, 3x4s, 4x12 strips, just to give it some personality and a little bit more variety that way. But you can do all the same size sheets as well. Again, the only thing to really keep in mind is that your notebook is smaller than your notebook cover, the laminated piece that you just made. Now for the outside band, this is fairly simple. You're going to create a piece of cording that's double knotted like that, like a big loop, but first make sure it measures to fit around your notebook snugly. Again, you don't want it too loose, you want it to hold the book shut, so that fits pretty well. And this works for me because my needle's so big, I can then just go ahead and thread the non-knotted side through like that and go ahead and pull it through that center hole that we pierced. This is probably the hardest one to do. It takes a little bit of elbow grease, but it will pull through. So just be patient with yourself, and then it'll catch where the knot meets and you've got yourself a closure. Some people will decorate these, put clips on them, bows on them, which is really fun and adds some personality. One thing, speaking of decorating, I wish I had done was decorate the inside of the paper or the back side like I did on this version. I painted front and back and a little quote in there. The plain white I'm not loving. You can use pattern paper like this. It's already double-sided and then it already looks cute on the inside, so that's another option that's very easy. Here's another DIY insert I made using different styles of paper, even a little bag and a doily. So again, have fun mixing and matching and creating your own personality with those inserts. They don't take long to do at all. And on this one, it's I put some of the outside pattern paper on the inside to kind of give it a more cohesive finish, which I like that idea too. For instructions on making the paper inserts and these traveler's notebook covers, I'll link to my blog below. Thanks for watching!